Hey guys, welcome to Rough Stuff, the podcast where we make our friends tell humiliating stories from childhood. I'm Bridgett Greenberg, and I once had to be rescued from a bathroom that I thought I was locked in, but was just turning the doorknob the wrong way.
In a similar vein, I'm Sarah Griffith, and I once had to get 3 adults remove my head that was stuck behind a bunk bed because I was trying to shimmy down and got stuck.
We're really doing greatest hits right now.
Yeah.
With us is actor John Paul Green.
Hi there. And now I say something?
And now you say.
Just a quickie.
In middle school, I called a girl to try phone sex, and she picked up too late, and it went on her parents' recording machine in their bedroom, and they listened to the whole thing. And then the next day, I called her again to see what she was doing, and her dad was like, "Don't ever call here again. We heard your conversation last night."
Oh my
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my most embarrassing moment of my life.
Oh my God. Wow.
We're going to unpack this.
Yeah, please.
I mean, because Sarah and I felt that was a strong opening for us, but you just blew us out of the water.
Literally,
Yeah.
you can't see us, folks, but all of us
All
are
of you
losing
grabbed
our
your hair.
shit.
Yeah.
Everyone
here
put their hands in
grabbed
their
their hair and pulled it out.
Wow. Okay. Well, I was just about to say that JP and I went to high school together. We're both from Houston, but now after that, I've never met this man.
I'm like flop sweating on your behalf.
Well, I was
there is sweat on my back.
I
Definitely.
was 13, so once I got to high school, I turned into a different person. That moment changed me.
Yeah.
That's when that was like that Britney Spears song, like "I'm not a girl, but not yet a woman." That was like that was my moment.
You're not a man, but you're not yet a pervert.
Right, and that's where I kind of flipped into pervert territory. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life. I think about it at least once a week.
Yeah, that is one that'll keep you up at night for sure.
Yeah. All right. I have several
So
questions.
yeah, we're gonna
I'm
unpack
just gonna,
this.
So
You seem very calm.
I used to tell this story like in college. I told my now wife and her friend, her roommate, and they have to this day will bring it up and say, once I go into this story, there's more to it.
Oh please!
They will bring up the things that I said in the thing.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that.
Sure.
But I just want to work out the logistics of what happened
Go
here.
ahead for it.
There's so much.
So you called. She picked up.
Yeah, so we were talking for a while, and then it got disconnected, or she said my because this was pre-cell phone.
Right.
And talking normal talking.
Talking normal talking.
Okay.
It was a Friday night, and she said, I think her cordless phone battery was dying. And she said, "Call me right back. I have it on silent, and I'll pick up." And I was like, "Okay, great." So I don't know why she didn't call me. That would have saved us a lot of heartbreck. But
then we would be robbed of this great story.
Right, I wouldn't be here today. So I called her back. It rang a couple of times. She answered it. No big deal. We talked for like an hour and a half, which led into dirty talking for whatever a 13-year-old thinks dirty talking is.
That's what I'm really stuck on. Is 13-year-old dirty talk.
Yeah. The main thing that people like to, as I brought up, my wife and her friend like to give me crap about is that I said at one point, "Yeah, girl, you like that."
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I know.
No.
So now anytime I see, anytime someone says like, "Yeah, girl," not even in a sexual way, like if it's on TV or something, that line, my wife will look over and go, "Yeah, girl, you like that?"
And does your heart just like fall through?
It did for a long time. I was like, I can't believe that happened, and I can't believe I didn't bury that. But now that I've gotten older, it's I just have to tell it.
You gotta keep tracking with that.
Yeah,
Wow.
you just have to. I told it to a couple people. I didn't think I was ever going to tell that story.
Right.
I thought it was just going to be something between me and this girl.
Yeah, you can't be alone with that.
You have to.
I let it go, and so now it's a part of my life.
You're not a victim. You're a survivor.
I am a survivor. Yeah.
And you advocate now for 13-year-olds not doing that.
I also advocate for no answering machines.
Yeah.
That basically was my.
Yeah, okay,
I kind of got rid of answering
the
machines.
logistical thing. So,
So,
you
like,
called
was
back.
So I called back.
Oh my God.
Couple of rings, whatever, it happens. She picks up. Great. Moving on. I never heard to this day, maybe I've blocked it out, but I don't remember hearing an answering machine, like the start of it. I didn't hear it. So we said dirty talk. And then the next day is
into the answering machine.
Into the answering machine.
So you were flying
Oh
solo
my
here too.
God.
So it was like an hour and a half recorded message in her parents' bedroom, the answering machine, while presumably her dad and I think it was her stepmom laid in bed on a Friday night and listened to her 13-year-old daughter, have phone sex with a 13-year-old boy,
Well,
or
she
what we
wasn't
considered phone sex.
Right, or she wasn't answering because
She was no. It was a conversation. She picked up. We had a conversation, the two of us, on the answering machine.
Oh.
So they heard both of our conversation, both of us speaking on their answering machine.
Okay, and at no point were they like, "Hey,
Maybe-
Rebecca, shut up."
Right? Yeah.
They
We'll call her
did-
Rebecca. That's
Yeah,
a,
I just threw a name
For
there.
Say that word. A
Nom de plume.
non-plumed.
Plume.
Non-plumed.
An AKA.
An AKA. We'll call her
Jesus,
Rebecca.
I can't
alias.
even think straight right now. Like, this is such a bombshell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So both of us, they were listening to her daughter and me. It wasn't just one-sided. It was
Did
both
they
of us.
and they just let it go?
Yeah, they never got on the phone. It wasn't until the next day that I called back to see what she was doing. And I said, "Is Rebecca there?" After her dad answered the phone. And her dad said, "Yeah, who is this?" And I said, "Oh, this is John Paul. I go to school with Rebecca." And he was like, "Yeah, John Paul, we heard your phone call last night on our answering machine bedroom. And I would really appreciate it if you didn't call Rebecca again." And then he hung up. And then I had to see her on Monday, and she was like grounded for a week and
Forever.
And then she left that school the following, like that was in the spring because it was
Unrelated, right? Like
unrelated. She did not leave because of that. I still am in contact with her every so often.
You don't call her though.
No, we do not talk.
No,
Christ.
never again. You actually don't use a phone now.
No. I literally wanted. I could feel like my butt fall out when her dad answered.
Yeah,
I remember
my
where I
butt's
was.
currently fallen out now. Like, my butt is gone.
I was in my bedroom and I was looking out the window and I remember her dad
Should I
answered
jump?
and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, yeah, that's. I want to throw up.
That's been me, and I'm gonna just die now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow, it is 130 degrees in here now. Like, we have heard some bad things on this show, but that is a very specific and painful.
It hurts. Yeah, it hurts actually. Like it hurts like bringing it up again. Like it's like feeling like
You're
I'm
doing it like a champ.
I'm
I gotta
pulling out
really
the-
admire your.
I also like kids do like when you're younger and you're young and horny and perverted.
Oh,
You do stupid dumb things. This just happened to be something, and it wasn't my parents.
Yeah.
Like
you didn't have to see these people.
No, I did. I've never met her parents.
Okay.
Great.
So like there was no interaction. I'm sure it was probably worse for her because then her dad was like, "Oh my God, my daughter is having phone sex with a
phone
13-year-old.
whore, yeah.
With these two 13-year-olds are having phone sex on my answering machine."
Okay, two things in your credit here.
Yeah.
First of all, at least it was a 13-year-old and 13-year-old talking. Like,
Yeah.
that could have been much dicier.
Well, it's also phone sex. Again, it's phone sex. What a 13-year-old would think.
It's
what
like
phone
phone
sex would
dry
be.
humping.
Yes.
At that age, I
Yeah.
think. And then two, if I heard my daughter doing that on the voicemail, I would not have let it gone on.
I
No,
would've cut
that
it
was
off.
I would have
crazy to me.
immediately been like, "We can hear you hang
Stop,
up the
stop,
phone."
Right.
stop. Like,
Well, I
yeah.
have a son now who's almost 2. So when he gets older, if that were to happen to him, I would immediately or something. I would never listen or read something
What?
that I
That's
wasn't
I think it's
supposed to.
crazy on their part.
Yeah,
I
that's
know.
kind of
They're
like
at
they
fault.
walked in on their daughter making out with someone, basically, and just stayed and watched.
Right. Just
Instead
to
of
see
being
where
like,
where it turns up. Like, let's see where this goes.
I mean, they were probably just cracking up.
They
too.
were probably laughing.
You're
a
right.
lot.
They probably were
It
laughing.
was a late Friday night. They were probably drinking, probably laughing at it. But then they also that's your daughter. Like
Yeah.
saying
Ew.
things like, "I'm in my underwear."
I'm having to hear things like, "Yeah, girl."
Yeah, girl, you like that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
Oh, well, thank God.
Yeah,
thank God. If there
Nothing
was
else.
anything else
No.
after that.
I'm not sure where you can go from there.
No.
Oh.
Never pooped my pants or anything after I got out of diapers, obviously, when I was 14. But
But no, the phone sex business.
yeah, that's it.
That is bad. I will say, like, what I try to, like, talk to my friends about, like, 13 is a very weird, horny year. And, like, Mom, never participated in anything like that. But I do remember hearing stories like getting back from like mitzvah weekends at middle schools and like Monday hearing like, oh yeah, did you hear that? So-and-so gave such and such a hand job. But now that I'm an adult, it's like, what is 13-year-old fooling around? And like, do you even know what that is?
Yeah, I had a bad habit of like trying. I think about this a lot because I had a bad habit of trying to hooking up with girls in movie theaters when I was like in middle school.
That's a classic.
Sure.
Yeah.
But now I think about it like if I'm at like the Limley and I'm watching like 12 Years a Slave and there's a couple of like 14-year-olds in the back row like
Making out.
I'd be like, what are you doing?
Get out.
Yeah, that's a Seinfeld thing of making out during Schindler's List.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Or even the Meg. Any movie. If I'm in any movie and there are a couple of young preteens almost like making out, like I would be like, stop. Like I can't imagine. And then thinking back about all the times I've made out and done stuff in movie theaters, it's been a packed movie theater.
Yeah.
Like iRobot, I remember.
Yeah, you
Scary
can't do
Movie 3. There was a full theater while these just like 2 13 or 14-year-olds are just
I can't tell if that's
going
like
at it.
just gross or if that's like respect the game. They have nowhere else to do this. So.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it. I thought of it as gross, but it could be like, you know what? We were young. We were 13 once.
Yeah.
We
It's
made
a
out
classic
in the movie
thing.
theater.
Yeah.
You can't go to someone else's apartment and hook up. Like you have to just kind of.
I also haven't been to a movie in years where I've seen people make out in it.
Me neither. I think I was actually thinking like I go to theaters now that are like specifically geared towards adults. So like
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
like, I haven't gone to a Regal theater in years. I
Right.
think
Yeah, I
that's
don't go to
where-
the movies in the mall
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. I
That's a
feel like
good
that's a
point.
lot of like 14-year-old semen in those
Yeah.
seats.
Yeah.
Well, Bridgett, you and I were talking about this one time that like there were movies that came out in that time that's like that is a movie you go to hook up in.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I remember.
Like Monsters Inc. Not there, but like
No, I
Disturbia.
remember overhearing someone talking about my like friend at the time, her like middle school boyfriend, and they were making out in the theater, and I wasn't there. I wasn't watching.
Right.
But I just remember overhearing him talk to his friends. It was like, yeah, we made out so much in Ghost Rider, Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider. He's like, my neck hurts from making out in the thing because it's
Ew.
awkward. You have to like turn to
Yeah,
the side.
there's no
like
good
it's
way to
not,
do it in a
You're
movie
not
theater.
face to face. You're
If you
shoulder
have
to
the
shoulder.
arm seat that can go up, like, well, then maybe you're
Right, but this
You're
is
in
early
business, but
2000s,
yeah,
mid
that's not-
2000s. There weren't a lot of movie theaters like
Yeah,
that.
apparently they're like, yeah, we were making out for the duration of 90 minutes, and I was like, that
Yeah.
seems like a nightmare now.
yeah, that doesn't seem like. Also, like I want to see the movie.
You want to see Ghost
Right.
Rider?
Yeah.
It's worth it.
I hear it's impeccable.
Now, I thought you were first talking about Ghost Rider, the Ewan McGregor film
no.
with Roman Polanski
Right.
directed, and I was like, oh wow, that's an interesting one to make out in.
No.
Pierce Brosnan.
No, Ghost Rider. The Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, where he's a
that's
skeleton on
Yes.
fire. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is, I mean, good
similar
choice.
plots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, you can make that argument.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That is a nightmare. Oh, similar, not as bad as yours, but
Nothing can be. I'm so
no,
sorry.
nothing can be. But I remember like I was like freshman year after our homecoming. There was an after party, and my brother and I went to the same high school, and I made out with my neighborhood boy next door.
Sure, as you do.
As you do. And my brother hated this kid. Absolutely hated this kid. And we went to a small school, and word got around. And granted, I made out with a kid in the same room that my older brother was hanging out in at the same time, which was a mistake. And he hated this kid, and then also heard or saw, at least in the corner of his eyes, his little sister making out with someone, which is a nightmare. So instead of, and I mean, I don't know if he did this on purpose, but kudos to him, because this was the best retaliation an older brother can get. Instead of confronting me about it or like confronting that kid about it, he told my parents.
Oh,
So
what a bitch.
yeah, told my parents, which is worse than anything he could ever do.
Yeah.
Which means that once they found out, both my mother and father came into my room, sat me down on my bed as I was sitting on either side of them, and were like, so we heard you made out with
Name redacted.
Gary. Yeah.
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
yeah. let's talk about that. And then I will never forget. Because also I was in 9th grade. They knew like that was, it wasn't.
Yeah, everyone knows. You don't need the birds and
And
bees
also,
talk. It's like, we know.
the story, I made out with a kid. It wasn't
Right.
anything else. Like they were like, they were probably fine with it, but they're like, we need to, for some reason, we're like, we need to talk to our daughter about this.
Was this your first kiss?
It was my first like make out.
Okay.
Yeah. And they also knew the kid because he lived next door.
Right.
Yeah.
And I will never forget my mother, for some reason, asking me if we used tongue. And I was like,
Don't
shut
like
it down.
that. Don't like that at all.
No. And I was like, I'm not gonna answer that question, Mom. You need to like, I just shut down immediately. And I was like,
Well, you could have also just done a reverse power move and been like, yeah, absolutely. Why?
yeah, of course. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, why do you ask?
I was a shell of a person
of
to think at
course.
that point.
I couldn't have done that at 14
I
or
was
15.
crawled
No.
way
Absolutely.
too. I was crawled way too deep into my own skin at that point to
Right.
like
Yeah.
To find your way
Yeah,
out.
there was no power move for me to make.
No.
My
Yeah.
brother.
That's
just
a good point.
Absolutely, just killed me in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Sure,
was-
sure, sure.
Yeah, and he could have done so many things that would have been better. Just like addressed it.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say he beat up that boy or something. Like,
Yeah,
I
or
would've-
talked to the kid and said, like, don't, if you break her heart, I'll break your neck.
Right, I would. Oh my God, so much rather have him done that. But he, I think, was
you went straight to the top.
he went straight
That was
to the top.
calculated, manipulative.
Yeah,
I
he
gotta
didn't even
commend
go
it.
to he didn't go to HR. Like he went to like the CEO.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He didn't address it personally.
No, no.
He knew the
Wow.
way to scar me
Right.
forever. And kudos to him. That's just good older sibling.
Did they keep an eye on you more after that? Was like that they had the talk with you and were they like, okay, like we just like
It's weird because I don't think like again, I was in 9th grade, so I was 13 and I had made out with a boy. That's
Yeah, that seems about on par for the course.
it's par
I
for
think.
like
yeah.
nothing else happened. I had just like made out with a boy and that was
Yeah.
it. So like I think they were probably cool with it. I don't know why they felt the need.
Was this like the pseudo talk of like, do you need to be on birth control? Like,
I think they were like, well, now you're yeah, I think it was.
well, now you're a young woman.
you're
I
a
think
woman.
if I had let the conversation
You're no
go and
longer a
hadn't
girl.
completely shut down.
Yeah, that would have been the talk about like, well, if you need condoms, just let us know.
Yeah, I
what state did you grow up in?
Florida.
Oh, okay. My wife is from Florida, so I know Florida is its own.
Oh wait,
different
Bridget's
thing.
from Miami too.
My wife is from Miami.
Yes.
And Benito, Ami.
Yes, unknown
Yes.
proverb.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So
What part of is this giving
Yeah.
away too much info?
no. I've talked about it. I'm from Miami Beach.
Miami Beach. I've heard of it.
Yeah. What part is your wife from?
My wife is from Palmetto Bay.
Oh, okay. Different suburb.
Right. And
Of
I
Miami,
think that
yeah.
I just wondered like because when you said Florida, I was like, oh well, you know,
Florida. Yeah.
Florida is its own.
Yeah, saying Florida when you're from Miami is kind of
Right. That's
A
a little bit-
misdirect.
Yeah. My wife
Yeah.
will say, "Oh, I'm from Miami," rather than saying from
Yeah.
Kind of like
I-
Chicago and Illinois. Like, if you live in Chicago, you don't say like, I'm from Illinois.
Well,
Yeah, I'm
that's-
from Chicago.
that is another embarrassing story. Why I started saying I was from Florida is this was a college thing where I had gone home from spring break and I came back and I'd gotten too tan. Like it didn't look good. It looked weird. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
burnt, but I was just very, very like dark.
Yeah.
It didn't look. It wasn't a good tan. I looked crispy.
Yeah.
And I had come back to college in Philadelphia, so I stuck out like a sore thumb being that tan. And I was sitting in the middle of class, and a professor called me out. Like, I guess I had answered a question, and he was like, "Where were you over break?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm from Miami." And the whole class was like, "Oh," and like,
Yeah.
and it's like, I'm gonna start saying Florida.
Yeah.
I guess now. And
Yeah.
also, when you say you're from Miami, and like, dudes come up and like
Yeah,
try
yeah.
to talk to you and they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" Miami. That's a conversation starter.
Yeah, to
And
some, it
to-
is.
to some, like they're like, "Oh, I can keep talking. If I say I'm from Florida, I can just like move on."
Right.
And,
Yeah.
That's true.
and not
That's a
have
good
to
point.
Continue talking. So I transitioned to saying Florida instead of Miami for those two reasons.
That's a smart move.
Most people would. Most true Miamians would call that a crime.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. I've had some, speaking of sunburns, I mean, most recently, if anyone's following me on
Oh my
social media,
God, yes.
I had a really miserable
Oh
sunburn
my
recently.
God, that was hilarious.
Oh man, the visual cue. Maybe I'll post a photo on like the Rough Stuff Instagram.
It was
'cause, like,
crazy.
you
I've
probably
never seen
should see that.
anything
But
like it.
before we did that though, like, so at our high school graduation, like they make everyone perform because the graduation itself is like all of 30 minutes. So
Right,
like
there's like
let's-
80 people walking across the
Yeah,
stage.
and so it's like, well, it's not really graduation. We don't make people sit through like 4 hours worth of something.
And in our class, about a third of our class did not walk because there was a cheating scandal
Wait, really?
in economics. Yes, they were all.
Oh, I remember.
so we had
this.
we really only had like, I don't know, like maybe 70 people walk across the stage because of this.
Damn, JP was a senior when I was a freshman in
That's
high
right.
school. So
That's right.
I do remember that there was like a whole policy change and like every other.
Did they
teachers
straight
had
up
to,
not
like-
graduate?
They graduated. They were not allowed to walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which I mean, as you can imagine, is like every parent's nightmare. I think because
Yeah.
you want to see your kid like walk across.
Yeah, when
the
grandma's
stage
like, "What
and-
time? When is he graduating?" It's like,
Right.
oh, he can't. He has
Yeah.
this thing called texting on his phone, and they all texted each other the
Right,
answers.
I remember that.
Right.
Ah, the scandals.
Yeah.
Well, before we graduated, it was like we had a June 3rd graduation, which is kind of late for our school to be graduating. And so, like, as a result, like Memorial Day weekend kind of was in between like finals and graduation. And so, of course, everyone went to the beach. And we all got sunburned so severely. I showed up late to school because I was like, I literally cannot physically move. Like, I'm so burnt. And we got in, our theater teacher, Miss Ogden, was like, where did everyone go this weekend? The center of the sun? And I walked into like where we were rehearsing graduation, and like literally every kid was red and pink, and just like everyone was miserably fucking sunburnt. And so in like all of our graduation photos, we all just looked so uncomfortable and sweaty.
Yeah.
My friend Ian was like shedding skin on his back by the time he graduated.
Yeah.
But it was like that in-between phase where like some of the skin's falling off and some of it is still there.
Oh, yeah,
As a
so
result,
you're
he
like-
just had like pockets of sweat underneath his graduation robes. I was
Holy
so
God.
miserable. That's just so terrible. No, but my most recent sunburn, I think I'm allergic to something.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like you have a history or some kind of.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen because we were on a camping trip together,
Yes.
Sarah and I, while that was happening, and me and our other friend were sitting across from Sarah, and we were both like, dude, you need to get out of the sun. You need to go home right away. Like, you're pretty
Yeah.
Did you put on suntan lotion?
You know what? No.
Sunscreen?
There's no way
Clearly,
I did.
there's no way.
no way I did. And that's such a bitch though, because I was wearing a hat the day before,
Yeah.
and then I didn't wear a hat, and it's like you're a little bit red, and I was a little drunk, so I was like, I'm sure I am,
Right.
but it's fine or whatever.
Yeah, no, we
And
were sitting
then-
across from Sarah, and like she was a normal, she was just
Like a
red.
regular pink.
Yeah, it was red, and my friend were like, dude, you need to get out of the sun right away. And she was like,
But we're-
no, it's fine. Like, it will settle into my skin. And we're
Oh
like,
yeah,
"You're
I was like,
fine."
I'm just red because
She
I'm in
was-
the sun right
she
now.
was so confident that she was fine. And
Oh
she's-
yeah, I'm like, this will tan
yeah.
Yeah, and that escalated
And then, yeah, if you go on
Very,
Sarah's
very
Instagram,
quickly.
badly.
Yeah.
your eye swole shut.
Yes, I woke up the next day and my face was completely puffy and I could not open my left eye. And so I went to the
Never seen
bathroom.
anything like
I went to the
that.
bathroom and looked myself in the mirror and I laughed out loud because what I saw was not my face.
Right.
It was a ridiculous cartoon. My sister compares it to, you know, in Harry Potter when they like fuck up his face to disguise him.
That is
exactly
It is
absolutely
literally
yeah.
what I look like.
Very
Again, I will
accurate.
post visuals with this because you have to see it to
It's-
fucking believe it.
It's hard to wrap your head around. I've never seen anyone react.
You
to
look
sun
like
that
you
way.
had gotten in a fight.
Yeah, I look like something was deathly wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I did have a panic set in of like, I'm gonna look like this forever. This is me now.
Oh, yeah.
You look like De Niro in Raging Bull.
Serious cut. I was like Rocky after the third
Yes.
round.
Oh, yeah,
Cut
yeah,
me,
yeah.
Mick.
It
Like,
was-
I needed someone to cut my eye because I could not see.
It was crazy. And when I realized, because you must have gone through this, and as an adult, and I've gone through this a couple times because I'm a dumbass.
You had a bad sunburn last year.
I had a bad sunburn
but
last
not
year.
to the point that it swelled up and like your
I-
doctor didn't have to prescribe you steroids,
I didn't
which
swell,
mine did.
but half my face was blistered.
Yes.
Like my mouth was sunburnt. And it was, I had more of a two-face thing going on than
Yes.
Aaron Eckhart or Tommy Lee Jones?
Aaron Eckhart, more
Okay.
realistic.
I would
So
say
you
you
can
were.
see bone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was gross, but
I'm the Tommy Lee Jones.
Right,
Yeah.
Two-Face for
Sure.
sure.
But as an adult, when you get like injured or something wrong with you like that, you can't like sit it out. You have to go to work. Because when I remember
Right.
I broke my elbow while I was still working at Cracked, and I just remember sitting in the doctor's office like, oh, I'm gonna have to go about my day and still like go and do my job.
Yeah, like a fucking idiot with
like
a self-inflicted injury attached to you in a physical way.
Yeah, where my full right arm is in a cast from my hand to my shoulder, and I like still have to do work and be an adult woman.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like doctor's notes where you can be like, "Hey, I'm not going to be here for a week." My doctor.
I did not go to work for 2 days though. And
did you not? Yeah.
No, fuck no. I couldn't see. I like just sent a photo of my face to my boss, and I was like, "I'm not coming in, and this is why." And he was like, "Jesus Christ!" I'm
yeah,
like,
it was bad. I don't ever get sunburns. I get my neck gets burnt, a red neck, if you will.
Yeah.
Probably because I'm from a redneck part of town.
Yes.
But other than that, I have had maybe one sunburn in my life.
Oh, well, good for you.
I put on sunscreen, but even when I don't put on sunscreen, I just don't burn.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I will never burn again.
It's really like a, kind of like an Icarus situation.
Yeah. Yes.
Kind of flying close to the sun. One of these days, it's going to get me.
Yeah. When you say that, it's going to happen. Welcome to Burncast, everyone. Yeah. We're talking about sunburns. They're terrible. So you can't top that, but I'm interested since you and Sarah went to the same high school, and Sarah has always painted a pretty rosy picture of HSPVA.
I just feel like every time we've brought up like high school bullying or like other high school things, like it's just such a different experience because our drama was fueled not only by like
drama,
literally drama,
right?
It was like typical high school shit of like who was hooking up with who, etc. But also there was like a level of professional drama that was like, she's like been skipping out on her crew assignments. And like, I remember there was a lot of fights and like a lot of the times that I was mad or there was gossip, it was like because of like, she always gets the lead and like blah, blah, blah. Like,
right.
There was like that level of like pettiness, I think.
I was talking to someone recently about how they would threaten us in high school that if we acted up too much, they would cut a corner of our thespian card.
Oh, Jesus, I would stay awake at night terrified.
25 hours or whatever it was. And I was thinking about it and I was like, who cares? Like at this point, even back then I was probably like, who cares? But now I was like, can you imagine like doing that to some kid and then like that kid being like, oh my God, my life is over.
No, that would a corner cut would have
corner cut, right.
That would have devastated me. Like I'm not even joking. Weren't you best thespian?
I was not. No.
Oh.
I got so I think you needed like 10 or 20 hours to get in. To get your card,
yes,
like a white belt, and then you move on to like a purple or a green belt. I got the one that you needed that was a color to graduate, the 20 hours, and then that was it.
Yeah, to clue in
I realized
everyone
quickly that I did not need to. If I put in a bunch of hours in the Thespian Society, that was not going to get me into NYU.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I don't need to do this.
That was a lesson I learned later in high school because I was very eager. For those, we're going to clue you in. We went to a performing arts school. We've talked about this before. So like half of our day was academics. The other half was in theater. We're talking about hours. These are hours logged either by manual labor or rehearsal hours after school. It was like basically we had a part-time job.
It was.
That we were not paid for.
It was like student work. What do they call it in college where you study? Work study.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it was.
But like
except
I
you
wasn't
didn't get paid.
We weren't paid shit.
No.
Sometimes Chick-fil-A would be brought in and that was very special.
It seemed like in our group, it was someone would always bring in grape leaves.
Yes. Oh,
which made me want to like puke.
Yeah. We had a lot of like.
We didn't get Chick-fil-A.
We got a lot of Vietnamese food.
A lot of Vietnamese food.
Yeah, that was.
What the hell?
Yeah,
this is
why I'm saying like whenever we bring up high school, I'm like, oh, is that
what
how
a
it
rosy
works elsewhere?
It wasn't. It was a great school. I as I've gotten older, right after high school, I was like, oh, those were the 4 best years of my life. Even after college, I was like, yeah, I think I liked high school a litute bit more.
Same, yeah, absolute same boat.
But it was a bubble.
Definitely.
I remember not the very first day, but like the second or third day of school, my dad came and picked me up, and there were 2 girls like making out on a table and outside. And my dad was like, and I had gone to private school previously, a Christian school, because I was a bad little boy. And
we know.
I know. I was a naughty boy. And so this was just a huge jump from Christian private school to
theater.
Lesbians making out.
Right.
Which was fine. It was great. I loved it. I would just stand there and stare at them. But
you little creep.
It was great. There was I would say there was probably, I mean, there were fights. Like, there was, like, a kid, I got hit in the face before. There was a kid a year older than us.
Was it in the play, though? Was it written in?
It was not written. This was not. However, I was in a play. This may have been, I think, right before Sarah got there, where it was called The Diviners, about, like, a mentally handicapped kid who can find water with a stick.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yes, so there was a scene in which I had to ride a bicycle off into the vom of the black box. And one night, the actor was supposed to kind of push me off, and I ride the bike off into the sunset. Mm-hmm. And he pushed me way too hard.
Oh, shit.
And I went over, I did a front thing over the bike, and everyone was like, oh my god, and I got up and I like ad-libbed something and walked off. I to this day am like still fearful of getting on a bike.
Yeah.
Did anything like, were you bleeding? Did you hurt anything?
Just my pride, but it wasn't my fault. Like, I didn't do anything.
No.
I couldn't. What I should have done is
it's just stop the plane, punch that kid in the face.
I should have punched that kid in the face.
Yeah.
But there were people, there were fights, there was drama, but there was also like.
I imagine the fights, though, to be like West Side Story, where two people come in snapping
there was some
at each
sharks
other.
and jets.
Yeah.
Fights. I did get into a, when I was a freshman, I got into a physical altercation. The only fight I've ever really been in.
I was going to say, this is the second fight I have ever heard of happening at this school.
Yeah, I got into a fight with a kid who was in theater, a year older than us. He just didn't like the way that I looked at him or talked to him. I don't know what the deal was. And so there was an area by where the stage door was, the load-in dock. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there was this big air conditioner unit out there. And he was like, be out there at 3 or whatever time we got out of school. And we got into it and he shoved me.
Jesus.
Yeah, he punched me in the face and then kind of walked away. That's the only fight I've ever been in my life.
That's a quick one.
It was quick.
Yeah, one and done.
So yeah, there was stuff like that, but it wasn't like no one was getting thrown into trash cans or like stuffed into lockers.
Yeah, I feel like that's. I don't want to say it's rare.
Dope as hell, but
yeah,
super cool if people were just.
I also felt like in middle school, I realized like, oh, if I bully people, then I won't get bullied.
Yeah.
So that was my mentality.
So you were a bully.
I was like the rough, tough, mean guy. But then when I got to high school, I was like, oh, that's dumb to be like. I was short physically and also like verbally. I would be short with people, and I wasn't over the top friendly. But I don't think I bullied anyone in high school.
No.
It was like we're all trying to do something that we're all.
It's got to be hard to be a bully at our high school, I feel like.
And everybody there wants to be there.
Yeah.
You know? So it was like we're all like pretty good at something. So like why like we're
and
all
also
on the
like
same
you don't want to
page.
like you want to act up because we did some fucking pranks, but it was never like. We did senior pranks. We had a whole week of like senior pranks.
Right.
But we even went to our vice principal and was like, hey, we've got like these things lined up. Like, just let me tip you off. We'll clean up the mess we make and stuff.
Oh my God, you nerds.
Oh, yeah. But here's the bitch, though. We were like, one of the pranks, we were like, well, we're just going to put a bunch of yarn all over the commons area. And it was like a huge yarn piece. And when everyone got into school, everyone was like, oh, this is such a cool exhibit.
Art exhibit.
They were like, oh, who did this?
Wow,
like, I
yarn
really
is
like
life.
this. Like, you can walk through it. And like, everyone was like,
I want to bully your entire high school. I want to walk in there and just be like, this isn't life,
and
nerds.
then, like, a lot of the kids at school were, like, taking edibles before class because they were jazz.
A lot of drinking, too.
A lot of drinking and drugs. So, like, people were
yeah.
very relaxed at our fucking school because they were high.
There was always this, every year there was always, like, I remember a kid, when I was a freshman, he was a junior or senior, that showed up drunk to school and went into the office. And our principal at the time, Mr. Yu, assistant principal, he was like, Mr. Yeah! was, like, messing everything up in the office. So, like, there was a lot of, like, openly rebellious, but that's, like...
That's, yeah.
They're artists.
But, like...
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
also,
lame.
was there, like... Since you were all like, you were all performers to some degree in that high school... could you get embarrassed? Like, would people do something
That's
that you're
so
just like...
tricky.
Mm.
Because yes, but also, like, I think the threshold for embarrassment is pretty high.
Right.
Yeah, especially for an actor, for the theater department.
Well, like when you're that age and you're like openly doing quick changes backstage. I mean, like, Jesus Christ, like you can't really be ashamed of who you are or anything like that, because it's like you run backstage and you tell like whatever freshman level 1 person's like, I need to take a shit, like fucking move, like I got to be back on, and you know, like
a senior told us when we were freshmen that you will see your entire class in their underwear or naked before you graduate.
Yeah,
and we were all like, no, that's gross and weird.
Yeah.
And then by the time we graduated, I've seen everyone in my class, because you would be running backstage and be like, I have a monologue and I gotta where are my tights?
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't like the locker room embarrassment. Like everybody saw each other's like wieners and butts.
And if you're in the All School Musical and the dancers were in there, I mean, they are nude backstage because they're in leotards and shit. So it's kind of like, oh, whatever.
But like performance-wise or anything, like you guys wouldn't do anything that like will stick with you that has embarrassed you?
I occasionally would try to fuck with other people. Like that was kind of the onstage game. If the play we were in sucked or like for whatever reason we just weren't into it. When we did Cats, because we did Cats for the Sunday matinee before anyone got there, like me and a bunch of people were like, well, let's just like fuck with people because I was like an assistant stage manager on that show. And so we painted in places on the set where the audience couldn't see, obviously, we painted a whole bunch of dicks. Like we just had a dick on every square inch of that set. Like I think it was like counting a 30 and 40 dicks. So like it opens jellicle things, etc. The cats are coming on, meow, etc. And we were just watching people one by one recognize that like, oh, there are dicks all over this backstage.
That's good.
And we had to like, right after it was done, because we wanted to be there, we didn't want to get in trouble and like possibly get kicked out because you could get kicked out of the school.
You could get kicked out of the school,
and they did. Like people were kicked out of my time. We were like, well, we don't want anything bad to happen, so we like immediately went into the scene shop, like got a bunch of paint, painted over the dicks, whatever. It was like Ocean's fucking 11. We were walking out of the theater, paint buckets in hand, and the dance choreographer and a whole bunch of little kids were like, oh, they want to go on the set because there's a slide. They want to ride down the slide. And our stage manager just said, okay, like they can go on, just be careful. Wet paint. Like it was like, yeah, we did it. We got away with this sick ass prank.
You guys are so lucky because I remember I had like a crew that would make movies, of course, in high school. And I remember we showed one like at the ceremony before our graduation. Before our graduation.
Yeah, there's that word.
I got it. Nailed it on the second try. Yeah, and like everyone was like stoked on it. And then I remember it playing. And normally these movies would play only to a audience of students who like were in on the jokes. And I just remember sitting there watching it as now parents and teachers were watching, or teachers had always seen it and just ignored it. But now I'm watching a room full of parents also watch this shitty movie that a bunch of high schoolers make that made no sense. And just all of us, like the four of us who made this movie, like we hear the kids laughing and enjoying it, but we're just looking at our parents so disappointed. And we're like, oh, this isn't good. We're not good.
Yeah, that's how I feel like we had a playwriting festival, and I know you did your play.
God.
I did my play as well. And
that's something could top probably
I Hate Billy
my
Zane,
story.
was that what it was called?
I Hate Billy Zane, and then in parentheses, because I was that guy, and other bedtime stories.
Oh.
Yes.
And it was like, at the time, I thought it was like really like edgy and funny and like,
indie,
super indie. And
it's
now,
basically just a bunch of inside jokes.
Yeah, that's all it was.
It
was just,
yeah.
It was just like I wrote like anything funny anything that popped in my head made it onto the page.
That your 13-year-old, 14-year-old self thought was funny.
I enjoyed it because I mean it was very
so
centric to like inside theater jokes.
It would
making
never
fun of
play
the season.
outside of It made fun of the school. It made fun of people at the school.
Yeah.
And it's like a similar experience. Like all the kids are laughing, but the teachers are like, "What the fuck is like this is ridiculous."
The audience of the people that went to school there loved
Roared.
it. I mean, they thought it was like the best thing they'd ever seen.
Yeah, it's a weird ego thing where you're
like, I remember it fondly. Like I remember.
Right, you remember the name of it. Like my dad, if I was like, "Hey, Dad, do you remember that play I wrote in high school that they performed?" He'd be like, "No, I."
Oh, my parents like still make me feel bad about it. The movie I did, they're like, oh, well, thank God you've moved on from those movies. And I was like, you're being so mean.
I was the lead
in
my senior showcase, and my character like really goes through the ringer. Like she's beat up. It's like a really dramatic piece. It's like, this is the one time I'm going to do something dramatic, and then I'm going to cut this check and get the fuck out of here. And years later,
sweet residual money.
Yeah. Years later, I was in the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, which if you're familiar, it's a great, lighthearted, fun show.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot of fun. To which I was like, I told my parents like, oh yeah, this is the character I play. It's really fun. You're going to enjoy it. And my dad was like, oh good. It better be better than that fucking thing we saw where the girl just got her ass kicked. And it was like a dystopian future. And I was like, do you mean like my senior recital piece where I was the lead?
No one can cut you down like a parent.
For what it's worth, my red and gray play was called Annie Get Your Glock. And it was
that's
like
better. That's a way better title than
it's a great title, but like the follow through is decent.
Yeah.
It was basically about a theater company that was like really on like down on its luck, and so they wrote a hip hop parody of the musical Annie Get Your Gun.
Sure.
Which like that, you know, is universal, but the rest of it was just dumbass inside jokes.
Right.
Very
God.
niche. It was like pretty much just for my class to enjoy.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is funny, right? Everyone. And like half the audience like, this does not make a lick of sense.
Yeah.
Like, this is just stupid.
But you know, they let us do it.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
do commend them
You
for
know what I
that.
mean? They were like, yeah, we're gonna do this thing where we're gonna let these like 17 and 18-year-olds write
And
bad
direct and-
theater and
It
put
was truly
on.
free reign because, like, most of the
It
time
was
there'd be like a
very free
teacher
reign.
directing, whatever. But this was like the students directed, the students acted. Like, we just
Yeah.
give them space.
See,
they
you're-
really trust us with that.
Yeah, see, you guys are lucky because when we did it, I think the first movie we did.
Was it called
there-
like Finn? Question
No,
mark?
it was for like homecoming competition. They opened like a video series, and we were like,
That's
oh,
such a mistake.
It wasn't a
Why
mistake.
would any high school
Well,
do
we
that?
were the only ones because it was like the filmmaking crew were all people who would go on to go to film school and be.
Windows Movie Maker or
I think we actually edited in a very early version of Final Cut.
wow.
Ooh.
Because again,
So
we
rough
were
cut?
rough cut. Yeah, we no, it was OG Final Cut. I think it was the
Okay.
first version of it. And we almost got expelled because, of course, there was just like gratuitous cursing, and I
Sure.
got very
Yeah.
because that's what we thought was funny, and so they were not about it. They were like almost kicked us out of school, and we went to a very strict private school. It didn't make sense. There was not a lot of adult support for us.
Yeah.
But we kept trucking. Adults, as we've learned with you, adults can just ruin.
Yeah, they
ruin
can.
your time.
They can
They
ruin.
just don't
Yeah.
understand.
They just don't understand kids.
They don't understand kids or
Yeah.
13-year-old phone sex.
Right. It's like they
Or
don't
any of
know like what Good Charlotte means to me,
Yeah.
Right.
That no one can ever
or
understand.
Panic at the
Look,
Disco.
No, I mean, you're just a kid and life is a nightmare.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
that-
one never-ending nightmare.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you started off strong. I don't know if we can top it from
Yeah.
what
wow,
you
that
gave us.
really threw me for a whole loop.
Well, I had forgotten to think of my embarrassing story on the way.
No,
So when
no.
you started talking, I was
You-
like, "What's the most embarrassing thing I can
I mean,
think
no,
of?"
you
listen,
got it.
you-
There have been other embarrassing things, but that definitely.
No, you nailed it. I mean, I don't know if we can go anywhere.
It's a
from
blue
there.
ribbon embarrassing story
Yeah.
for us.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, an evergreen.
Evergreen.
An evergreen story.
Evergreen. And
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
And thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Yeah, I'm glad I can get it out. I love it's just sort of an awareness about the dangers of
Phone sex. Yeah.
of phone sex.
So be
and
phone
answering
abstinent.
machines. Yeah, just text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have that back then.
Yeah.
I
Just
was
text.
thinking, like, if it had just been a few years later,
I know.
when, like, text messaging
Although
really...
we had some like nude sending scandals.
We did have the. Well,
we had a good
Yeah.
one.
there was. Yeah, I've been involved in a few nude scandals.
You?
Oh, yeah, I've
You?
sent nude photos.
But, like, in a
I mean-
scandal way?
Well, like I've sent it and then been like, oh my god, why did I send that? Like the
Yeah.
person's gonna have that. For the
This
rest
one was
of the
like,
file.
oh, they went around the whole school
Didn't
and
have
like
anything like that.
We did have one. And then the guy, when he was confronted about it, he was like, and like I like my body, like I don't mind.
No.
And we were like, Jesus,
That's a power
Christ,
move.
dude. I think actually after you graduated, we kind of had one with like the school, like it was a problem. This was in theater. One of the guys sent another guy like nudes, and I guess their phone was taken up in class because they're on their phone.
Oh.
And like I'm not sure like how this came to be, but like basically the administration found out that like I don't know if they saw the nude or just like caught wind that like nudes are being shared
Yeah.
in school, and they were like, "This is child
Pornography. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why it's a big deal.
I know.
And this is like early nude sending where you had
Yeah.
like there was no Snapchat.
Well, yeah, that's why it was always
I don't
a
know why
big
I'm
deal.
explaining this. Like to all you young whippersnappers, you have to understand. Back in my
Yeah.
day, you had to text message your naked photos. But like they were doing nudes like in the costume shop and like the dressing room areas. Like
Because it sounds like your school was like hair. You guys were just
yeah,
always
pretty
doing
much.
hair
There
and
was a
always
lot of
naked.
hooking up in the orchestra pit.
It was
in
like
the-
hair, but with not a lot of teachers around.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they just would take attendance and then be like, okay, like you guys like
All right,
be
go
careful.
do you.
Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
break up, let's rehearse, etc.
Right.
Yeah, but like it was to the point that the school would be like, as a reminder, if you are under 18 and sending naked photos of yourself, that is child pornography. Please do not put us in a position because
Yeah.
they were like all upset because the office had that phone. And it's like, well, now we are in possession of child pornography, technically.
Right. Yeah.
Which now, like in hindsight, I'm glad that they like were serious about it. But at the time, it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no, I feel like there were
like,
a ton
oh my
of those
God.
scandals.
The vice principal saw your dick.
Yeah, that is weird.
That's pretty funny.
Ooh, do you remember our vice principal's website that we found?
What was his name?
It was like a fish.
Oh yeah. I don't remember his website.
Oh my God, we found our vice principal's website, and one it had like a very shitty like flash animation opening of like zoom in photos of stuff, and it was so weird. It was like vice principal, like art critic, food and wine critic. So
it's just like an early Yelp page?
Essentially. And like oh, Jesus Christ. Because it would be like posts about the school and like, like, oh, the kids are doing this play at this time, which was nice. And then there was like a whole section of like food and wine reviews, which was like, this is not relevant.
There was a rumor that a teacher at our school was in adult films.
Yes.
Before he became a teacher.
Wasn't it called like Dark Chocolate Volume 4?
It was Dark Meat.
Damn it. I was so close.
And apparently they stuck a candle up his ass.
Did anybody ever see it?
When I was a freshman, there were 2 seniors in theater that claimed that they had.
Oh, that was always the urban myth.
No, you send that around.
It.
If you see it, you send it to everyone.
Yeah, no, but that was always like, oh no, so and so saw it. Like,
I'm sure
they found
when
it at the
we were
library.
seniors, we told Sarah's class like, yeah, we had someone.
Oh, 100,000%.
Right. You just pass it along to the next generation.
No, you guys got us good on a prank that like after y'all did it, it was pretty much the end of it. It was like a tradition surprise re-audition.
No, wasn't the Halloween thing? And we like ruined Halloween.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're the Grinches of Halloween.
No, there was something.
No, your Halloween was really good. I thought y'all were fucking with us.
We hurt the teacher. Like the lights went out.
What?
Maybe somebody did that to us. Somebody did there was a thing where there was always a Halloween prank.
Right.
And one year, either we did it. I think we did it, but maybe we saw it. The lights went out. Someone dropped a bucket from the grid, and then when the lights came back on, Miss Jennings, I said her name, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Was on the ground because she was in on it, obviously.
Oh, I do remember this.
And everyone was like, "Oh my, you guys, what happened?" Because she came in and was like, "I need to talk to you guys about blah blah blah." The lights went out.
I do remember this.
And then everyone just panicked. Like people were weeping, and then they were like, we're not doing this.
I think that must have been my class that he did that because you were RTA. And like freshmen would be susceptible if we saw Miss Jennings on the ground at that time. We'd be like, "Oh my God, our mother is dead!"
Oh, just a bunch of dramatic teens.
Oh, as you can imagine, yeah. I thought you guys were fucking with me though, because y'all kept saying that like Halloween's a big deal and everyone dresses up. I'm like, that's what the seniors are telling the freshmen, so we look like idiots when we show up in
dress
costume.
up?
No, I dressed up.
Oh, okay, good.
Because then everyone else was like, no, legit. Like, look in the yearbooks.
Right.
Halloween is like a huge event, as you can imagine.
Yes.
No, but I think somebody got us with like a surprise re-audition, which at the end of the year you have to re-audition to stay in this.
Right,
I mean,
to be invited back.
Exactly. I mean, who knows what that means? But it was like, is everyone ready for your monologues? And all of us were like, wait, what do you mean? Like, I don't have anything prepared. Like, I have my Brighton Beach Memoirs piece, but like, I already did that before. And like, I can't do that. I might not dress. I'm wearing flip flops. Like, it was like a whole fucking.
That's really.
Can I add one thing
Yes.
that I just thought of? You said Brighton Beach Memoirs. I think Neil Simon kind of fucking sucks.
Yeah, he does.
Like I was like in high school. I was like,
I know
whoa,
Bridgett is intense.
Neil Simon. I was like, this is in
every
100
high
years
school,
from now,
yeah.
this will be what people study. Like Neil Simon,
The Prisoner of
plays.
Second Avenue and everything
Yeah, like this
that.
will be our generation's Shakespeare. And then as I got older, I read something of his, and I was like, this blows.
Yeah, this is actually just
Maybe it was just what I was reading.
Maybe.
Bridget's
No
incensed.
comment.
Are you a Neil Simon like super fan? Are you?
I mean, I wouldn't say
stan?
super fan. I mean, I'm just a Jewish person with a playwriting degree. So
Yeah, but after hearing the same 5 monologues.
oh yeah, I mean
like
it's all very repetitive.
100,000 times.
What do you think the
I couldn't
audience
do Lost
said?
in Yonkers anymore. Like I was just like, I cannot hear this monologue.
Even
anymore.
hearing those names, I have like heartburn.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Just
saying.
It's like,
That's what I'm
Jesus
saying.
Christ.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those titles are bad. Now that you're saying that.
Lost in Yonkers, Biloxi Blues,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Oh, what's the Prisoner of Second Avenue?
Broadway
like I mentioned.
Bound.
Yes.
The third of that
How
trilogy.
relatable is this content? Let us
very
know.
relatable.
Oh yeah, please.
Write in. Let us know.
Right in.
Write in and let us know.
Call John Paul Green.
Yeah.
Call me.
He's great with phones.
Leave a voicemail.
He's great. Yeah. Make sure to leave a long, detailed voicemail. But
wow. Well,
yeah.
that's been a lot of fun here. We've had a lot of
yeah.
goofs and laughs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
Jesus.
Thank you for coming on and doing this.
I'm sorry that I was so I went 100 right out the gate.
No, we loved it.
No.
Okay, good.
Please, that is what we asked for.
No, that is
good.
You gave it your all, and we appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
course.
tell
Jesus.
people where they can find you, leave you messages.
You can find me on Twitter at John Paul Green, like the color. Like the color is not part of the Twitter name. I just always say that.
I'm glad you're still saying that.
I say it every time I'm on the phone with someone.
Well,
No,
I
not
say-
that kind of phone.
Yeah, well, I always say, like, if in LA,
You
it's
use
like,
a different
what's
phone.
the last name? It's like, Griffith, like the park.
Griffith, like the park.
Yeah.
You can also find me on Venmo at John Paul Green.
That's cool. Shoot him some dollars.
Yeah, shoot me some money.
Yeah, if you'd like to
I love getting money.
Yeah.
shoot him some money.
I asked Sean Spicer once his Venmo became public like a year ago. I was like requested like $400 from him, and he's still incomplete on my Venmo.
Okay, Sean Spicer, if you're listening,
He is.
fucking pay this man.
Yeah. That's where you can find me. I only really use Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're great on Twitter.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so definitely follow him.
Where can we find you guys?
We are... You
Thank you
should
for
host
asking.
this.
Am
I the first one to
Oh my
ask?
God, no one ever asked. I just say it. But
Right.
thank you for the lead. You can find us at Rough Stuff Pod on, the big three, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Twitters. And you can find me on the Twitters at Bridgett Tweets.
And I'm at SK_Griffith.
Nice.
You can find me
You
there.
lock that username up.
Well, you know what sucks? As a small aside, I signed up for Twitter like in 2008. Like
I did too.
I told everyone in high school, like, sign up for Twitter, and like I didn't realize what it was going to become. So the one that I could have snagged my name for sure,
Should've grabbed
but
it.
instead I landed on Sarah is fresh.
I
with a
feel like,
PH.
yeah.
And so then only later did I realize, oh, fuck me, I don't
You
want.
know what? You need to own it and start, just...
rebrand, go back to Sarah is fresh. I think I still have that like locked in, safe
Just
somewhere. But
stop.
now I'm the asshole that has
Yeah.
like.
No, stop apologizing for your
underscore.
Twitter
Yeah,
handles.
don't apologize.
Yeah.
I should have done like SK Griffith like 69420 blaze it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
That one's
So
totally
look for
gone.
her on that. SK Griffith.
I'll be verified in months.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. That's all.
This has been a Small Beans endeavor. We're a bunch of pals who make podcasts, sketches, music, web series, and movies. The Beans always have new ideas percolating, so make sure to check us out at patreon.com/smallbeans. That's patreon.com/smallbeans, where you can browse all of our current and past content, see what we've got planned in the future, and learn how your support can help the small beans grow into huge, giant monster beans. If you enjoyed this content module, please like, rate, subscribe, or tell a friend about us. We love you!